Everyone, I'm Leanne, and today I'll be discussing a case of market failure. So here I'll be presenting you the healthcare in Taiwan. So looking at healthcare insurance, there's a positive externality of consumption, because not only an individual can cure his or her own diseases, looking from a social perspective, it can also increase the healthy and productive labors of a society. It also promotes equal access for every citizen despite their wealth, position, and power, and also increase healthcare-related employment such as doctor and nurse. So here is a graph demonstrating the positive externality of consumption. So as you can see, the marginal social benefit is above the marginal private benefit, meaning that there is a positive effect on a third party, which in this case the society, which is not reflected and considered within the price of the transaction. So as you can see, when QE quantity of product is demanded and sold at PE price level, there is a potential that weight loss that may be reduced if the quantity can reach to the optimal social level at a optimal price. Here are some quality of healthcare insurance that make the good less attractive to private sector. First of all, it's non-rival, so a person's consumption of it does not limit the benefit available to other people. Also, it is non-exclusive, that meaning that the firm cannot exclude people from the benefit of consumption. So here you can see that the two qualities will reduce the profitability of supplying the good. So the government will need to provide the health care themselves and therefore create the national health care insurance. As you can see on the context here, Taiwan have a very well-known, affordable, and high-quality healthcare. However, despite its reputation, it also caused some market failure. For example, aging society, increased demand, and aged population had accounted for 14% of the whole population in 2016, and this leads to more demand of healthcare. And also, low price led to overconsumption. In fact, 30% of the patients are below emergency treatment standard, and citizens in Taiwan are seeking treatment 16 times annually in average. And also, government revenue generated by taxation did not show proportionate growth in proportion to the growth in demand of healthcare. So as you can see on the market failure graph here, at the price level which the supply meets the previous demand line, because there's a shift or an increase in demand, so at the original price level there will be a excess demand shown by the red line. So the effect of market failure: first, when the expense is greater than income, there's a lot of stress on the government's expenditure. So the burden projected bankruptcy in 20 years, and it also led to relatively low wages for medical employment compared to other developed countries, since the government is really strict and stressed about its budget. And also, health practitioners since oversee employment to get higher wages, and also because there are simply too many patients, and lead to decline clinical quality, and because with a limited amount of practitioner and so many patients, there is a heavy workload for most health practitioner, and a survey showed that a doctor's weekly workload time had bypassed 110 hours. So in order to correct market failure, there are some actions which is called the second insurance reform done in 2014. So first of all, the government adjusts payroll tax in attempt to reach facial budget balance, and also the new payroll tax further promote equity for employees and the firm. So it also reformed the procedure to limit drug abuse. For example, a doctor is only allowed to give out 7 days of drug portion to a patient, so the patient will need to seek the doctor again and to see if he or her is qualified to continue use the drug, and also to access technical facilities to increase efficiency. So how successful is the reform? To some extent, it reduced the burden of receipt and expense because the government now have a relatively higher income. However, currently the expense still exceed the receipt. So to some extent, it also prevent drug abuses. However, a lot of people have habitual use, and because the regulation wasn't implemented so strictly, uh, there is still some exemption of drug overuse, and to some extent raise medical efficiency, um, benefiting from the technical advancements. So what can be done in the future in order to further correct the market failure? So education may be used to change or influence the public's habit, thus their behavior, and also to encourage the public to acknowledge current issues such as the financial difficulties that may lead to the bankruptcy of the assistant, and to discourage welfare misuses. And last of all, the government can legislate strict standard of emergency nursing that will decrease the demand of healthcare. Thank you everyone. So here's my references.